A spate of breakthroughs from the world of vaccines. Frontline biomedical laboratories have reported for the first time during this crisis that there is reason to be hopeful that the vaccine will be out not very long from now. The world has changed dramatically thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. There's a global lockdown and there are no clear answers just when things will return to normal. As you well know, the only full solution to this crisis is a properly tested vaccine. And I'm happy to report that there has been some very heartening news from the biomedical front line, starting with here in India. Okay, the good news from India is that the Prime Minister has just held the most crucial meeting with the task force on the coronavirus vaccine that includes experts from across the board, including those at the very front lines of researching this vaccine. The Prime Minister held an extremely important meeting yesterday and has reported that 30 Indian vaccines are currently being researched and many of them are entering a very crucial trial stage. The other bit of good news, 4 drugs are being repurposed for coronavirus treatment. These are not necessarily vaccines, but these are being repurposed for treatment. There are new candidate drugs and molecules that have been innovated by Indian scientists, which were reviewed by the Prime Minister yesterday and are also entering a phase of clinical trials. There has also been discussion at this crucial meeting yesterday by the Prime Minister where plant-based general antivirals have been reported, and there is some reason to believe there has been some promising results which will be updated by the end of this week. Now on to our second big development. In the most prominent claim of success in the last 1 month from the sphere of vaccine research, Israel's Defense Minister Naftali Bennett has said that Israel's Institute for Biological Research, which is basically a strategic defense institute, has made a significant breakthrough in developing antibody cures for COVID-19. Not only does Israel say it has isolated the antibody for coronavirus, but has actually completed the development phase and is now moving towards patenting and mass producing this vaccine. This is a huge claim to make, but this is Israel, which is a democracy. It's a country that can be believed in such things. It does have high-tech laboratories, and they say development of a vaccine is finished and we are now entering the phase of patenting and mass production. Well, this is a huge claim that Israel is making, so I want to break that down for you. This is an Israeli biolaboratory in the country which claims that it has become the first lab to isolate the antibodies that can attack the coronavirus. Listen very carefully. The Israeli government is now speeding up the development of this antibody. They've had some success in the lab and now they want to speed it up. Israel says it is wrapping up development for that final phase. This is something that has made scientists across the world sit up and take notice because this is a huge claim to make. If Israel is correct, then their own vaccine could be not very far. From Israel to Italy, which has been one of the worst affected countries as far as the coronavirus is concerned, let's tell you how things are in Italy, because there is a biomedical laboratory in Italy, in Rome in fact, where a huge breakthrough is being claimed by scientists there. Italian scientists at Rome's infectious disease Spallanzani Hospital claim to have developed a vaccine that neutralizes coronavirus in human cells for the first time, making this the most significant progress in the global vaccine race so far. It's incredible. They've actually managed to harvest it from mice, and they've actually demonstrated that it stops the coronavirus from harming human cells. Huge claim to make there by Italy. Well, 48 hours after promising a corona vaccine by the end of this year, President Trump, and that's the fourth big development that I'm bringing to you, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, after just 48 hours ago saying that there will be a coronavirus vaccine by the end of this year, has now embraced a slightly more cautious approach. But that isn't bad news. It's actually good news because he's being more realistic. He says that 90 clinical trials have already been conducted across various American-led vaccines in the United States, and that many more will happen very, very soon. Now, Trump is a bit of a loose cannon when it comes to making extravagant claims, but India today has verified that the 90 clinical trials of American vaccines is in fact correct, and there are many more afoot. And the fifth big development, ladies and gentlemen, from the vaccine sphere, from the United States, we circle back to India, where one of India's oldest biomedical laboratories. Before that, let me just make you listen to what President Trump said about those clinical trials.
We're working with other nations. We're working with UK, we're working with Germany, we're working with various other nations who are very advanced and doing a good job. I think therapeutically and also from the standpoint of laboratories, we are laboratories as it pertains to vaccines. We're doing very well. I'd love to see a therapeutic answer even before the vaccine, because we could take care of people that have a current problem or dilemma. But therapeutically and for the vaccines, a tremendous amount of progress. Oxford, Johnson & Johnson, incredible places are doing, I think, a really good job. And they're very advanced, but we have to now see. We're going up to that very delicate final stage with a number. I think a number of other countries are also doing quite well, my people say. And just so you know, working very closely with other countries, and whoever gets it first, my hat's off to them. We're not looking for first, second, or third. We're looking to get a vaccine that works. And progress has been made.
And to close the loop from the United States back to India, one of India's oldest biomedical research centers, the Haffkine Institute in Mumbai, has got extremely crucial permission to run clinical trials of the anti-tuberculosis BCG vaccine to treat COVID-19 patients. You'd heard about hydroxychloroquine before. Now the Haffkine Institute has received permission to proceed with trials of the BCG vaccine, which is actually for tuberculosis, and use it on COVID-19 patients. The trials will take place in Pune very soon on 35 COVID-19 patients with mild to severe symptoms. 35 humans will be part of that trial. Extremely promising. We'll have to see how that part of it actually goes. So I've basically taken you around the world to tell you about the latest and most promising developments we've seen from Israel, India, Italy, the United States as far as vaccine research is concerned. Now I want to tell you what it actually means, because the stages of developing the vaccine need to be understood if we are to accept how long it's going to take for that vaccine to become available to all of us. In phase 1, a study is actually done on healthy people who don't have any symptoms. The vaccine's effect on the immune system is first tested, because you don't want a vaccine to adversely harm the immune system. Then what's the point? It takes 1 to 2 years, and the effort now is to compress that time drastically. In the second phase of vaccine trials, a study is done on hundreds of random people to further evaluate the safety of the vaccine. Sometimes this can take 2 to 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that. And in phase 3, randomized placebo-controlled studies are conducted on thousands of people. This could take 2 to 4 years to conclude. And finally, in phase 4, this is post-approval studies are conducted to monitor the effectiveness of the vaccine in real conditions. So what you're thinking now is, this is a 5 to 6 year process. How am I going to wait for that long for a vaccine? Is it going to take that long for things to actually get back to normal? The answer is actually no. Most experts agree that a vaccine should be available sometime in mid of 2021 at the very minimum. So mid-2021 is a realistic time frame for when a usable vaccine could become available to the world. Now let's take a look at how the US is conducting those trials for the COVID-19 vaccine. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm choosing to focus on this because this is the one thing. I can tell you about liquor, I can tell you about roads, I can tell you about schools, but this is the one thing that will basically push all of those problems aside. The vaccine in the United States that is considered the biggest candidate vaccine is developed by an American firm called Moderna and the Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. It covers 45 healthy adults as we speak, and 45 adults will be followed by 394 days after the second dose is administered of that particular vaccine. The first candidate has already received the first dose. On the 1st of June, that's in less than a month from now, it's been set as the date for trial completion. That's incredible news if you're following what I'm saying, which means in less than a month, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies involved in vaccine trials will complete its clinical tests on humans. Now take a look at how the United Kingdom, which has now become the second worst affected country, beating even Italy, is faring as far as the vaccine race is concerned. And you've heard these voices here on India Today. Oxford University will be beginning its trials, has already begun its trials, I beg your pardon, on the 23rd of April, just a couple of weeks ago. Three-phase trial will start with 510 volunteers. Scientists say the vaccine will be available sometime by September. Huge claim, which means 3 months from now, Oxford says it promises 1 million doses of a proven vaccine developed by the prestigious university. It will be the fourth COVID-19 vaccine, they say. The candidates will be entering the clinical trial phase very soon. Vaccine production, Oxford University says, has already started. And now to close the gap, back to the country where it all started, and the country that's being observed and regarded with a great deal of suspicion. Obviously, I'm talking about China. There is a joint venture in China between the CanSino Biological Inc., which is a pharmaceutical company, and the Beijing Institute of Biotech. 36 healthy adults are currently being evaluated. 36 adults will be studied for 6 months after the first dose, and there is no timeline for the tests just yet. And given China's reputation for testing around the world, not many people are depending on China as a reliable partner in finding that vaccine in a timely manner. Let's never ignore Indian companies, ladies and gentlemen, because Prime Minister Modi has made this a prestige issue for Indian startups and health pharmaceutical companies. Indian companies are plentifully in the vaccine race. First on our list is Zydus Cadila, very well-known company. It's an Ahmedabad-based company that is replicating viral and measles vectors. The project is in its pre-clinical stage. The company is also trying to develop DNA plasmid vaccine. So this is one of the 30 vaccines that Prime Minister Modi has reviewed yesterday. The second is the Pune-based Serum Institute, which is collaborating with the New York-based Cadogenics Incorporated. It's developing live attenuated vaccines. The third company from India is Bharat Biotech. It's a Hyderabad-based company. It's working on a nasal vaccine. Its aim is to start human clinical trials by the end of 2020. So the big takeaway from all of this, and I hope this was not an overload of information. I wanted to give you the very latest because I also want you not to be overconfident and over-optimistic about where things are at. Experts believe moderately mid-2021, which is over a year from now, is a reasonable time to expect when the vaccines will start coming into the world population. So that is the vaccine story, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.